Hello. Today we're going to be talking about learning whole to parts. It's a way to best use the brain, especially when we're getting into new information. Now, if you go back to the way we were forced to learn in grade school, most of us had to sit in rows. We had to sit down. We had to be quiet. We had to pay attention. And the teacher would put something meaningless on the board and force us to make sense out of what our brain considered to be nonsense. It's a very difficult process to put ourselves through, and it creates a lot of what's called cognitive stress. When the brain is in cognitive stress or overwhelm or overload, everything shuts down. It's like it goes into tunnel vision. Our attention is negatively influenced. Our perceptual field is narrowed. Our thinking, our decision-making, our ability to respond, and our memory is all negatively influenced when we're under stress. So we want to be able to back up a little bit and try to get the big picture. Where are we going here? Why are we going there? What is it that I'm supposed to be learning? And when you can get that big picture, the brain then can help you find the best ways and means to be able to accomplish that. So it's as if you're initiating the brain, opening up the perceptual fields. In my Natural Brilliance course, I talk about releasing cognitive stress, bringing the sensory systems back online so you can notice more, and then you're able to do something about it. And so you've heard the idea is it's difficult to see the forest through the trees. So what we want to be able to do is try to get the big picture, try to see the whole forest. You can tell when you're too narrowly focused in the early stages because you've got this little knit in your brow and you're straining, leaning forward and struggling. That tension is a significant indicator of stress. What we want to be, I call that knitting in the forehead, it's called bark mark. It's where you can't see the forest through the trees and your head is so pressed against the bark of the tree that's putting an indentation right there. So sit back, stand back, understand why you're doing it, what it is you're going for. And now you can start to devote yourself to the very chaotic and messy task of entering something in which you really don't know what you don't know. See, I thought when I was a kid that what I had to do is go to school to prove that I knew something. And every time I didn't know what it was I was going to be learning, I felt embarrassed, ashamed, and a little bit put out. Like everybody else must know what's going on, but I don't. And asking a question makes me look stupid, so I'm not going to ask a question. So what happened is I was perpetuating this idea that I need to know what it is before I know it. It's ridiculous now to realize that, but think about it. You have to be willing to go into a learning activity and not know, be unaware. It's what they called in the Zen tradition the beginner's mind. We have to be willing to be open, to be a true beginner. I remember meeting one of my colleagues who's very famous today. When she started out with a group called the Transformational Leadership Council, she would say, I don't know, what am I even doing here? I don't know how to do this. She asked, she was open. She asked everybody for as much help as she could as she learned. And now she's one of the top, she's one of the best. And the idea of being willing to be a beginner, being willing to not know, being willing to try to get a sense, not only of what is it that I'm attempting to acquire as knowledge or skills or attitudes, but also, where is this going to take me? Where am I going? What is it that I need to focus my attention on? Then you're working on the parts. So it's whole to parts. Think about the way you had to learn to read. You take one tiny word and you'd have to take this little word, this grapheme, and turn it into a phoneme, a sound. So there are consonants and there are vowels and there are blends. You put that together until it sounds like something that you recognize, and then you know what the word means. It's called decoding. And what happens is we become skilled decoders, going part, 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 part. And the conscious mind has to take 7 of those little bits of information and then try to store and know what it is, remember what it is. And it's difficult for beginning readers to just do the decoding. We also need to get whole language. We also need to get the big picture. Now, if all you get is whole language, if all you get is big picture, and you never learn the decoding skills, every time you hit a word that you don't recognize, you're stuck. And so there's this ebb and flow, there's this balance between the two sides of the brain. The rational side, which is focused and decoding, and the creative side, which comprehends the big picture. And as these two parts, these two functions, these two brain activities meet, you're actually using your whole brain to learn most effectively. So play with it. Next time you have to learn something important, go into the beginner's mind, go whole to parts. Enjoy. You can learn anything you set your mind to. Bye for now.